This
To
conference will now be recorded.
I want to welcome you to this month's webinar produced for the membership of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. It's produced every month as a part of your NewsLink outreach and is funded as a public service by CVC Success Group. And what we want to do is share with you tactics and tips that will help you. And in today's world, as we're recording this, which is on March 17th, we are in the midst of a crisis in our country, a crisis that's affecting business and it's affecting the way that we live. And for today's webinar, I felt that it was appropriate that I would have on this webinar the leader of this industry, the elected leader of the chimney sweep industry, and that is my friend Jasper Drengler, who is the president of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. So Jasper, you out there ready to rock and roll on this today?
I'm here today, Jerry.
You're here. Are you ready to rock and roll? That's the big thing.
Absolutely.
There you go. So Jasper, I think that if we had looked back 2 short weeks ago, or maybe even a week ago, would you have had any idea that you would have faced the things that we're facing today in your volunteer position as president of the National Guild or in your own business? Do you feel like this would be our major topic of discussion today, just a few short weeks ago?
Jerry, I didn't think we were going to be having this conversation between you and I 6 days ago. You and I were down in New Orleans for the HPBA Expo, and at the beginning of the week, so there's this flu going around and a couple people are going to get sick, and I started making our videos about how we're going to have convention no matter what. I was stuck in my ways. I believed it 100%, and then slowly public opinion started to turn, membership started to raise more questions, and that's when the board and I started our conversations. We started chatting amongst ourselves. We started listening to suppliers, industry leaders, and that's when for 36 hours I went radio silent, and we started having meetings and weighing the pros and cons. And then just yesterday, we had an emergency board meeting where we finally pulled the plug on the convention. And, Jerry, I think the timing for the cancellation of the convention was almost perfect. If we would have called it a week earlier, everyone would have made fun of us. Oh, you're overreacting. And if we would have waited a couple days later, people would have been at risk of getting their refunds. Vendors would have shipped things. And, when you turn on the news today, no matter which network you prefer, this is a bigger deal than I thought it was a week ago, and I believe that the Guild and the board made the best decision for the industry.
And Jasper, I'm going to compliment you on that because definitely it was a hard decision to make because you know that this is going to have a financial impact on the NCSG. But the thing was, you guys stood up to it, and I'm sure there's details that are still going to need to come together to do this and what all's going to happen from this. But I know you've got a lot of people behind you, and I haven't seen one person that says you guys made the wrong decision. I know as we sat there last week, when I flew into New Orleans last Tuesday, I had 2 classes to present on Wednesday. And to be honest with you, the classes were fairly full down there. But as the next day, the fear started coming out in people and the panic. I heard people getting very concerned that they weren't going to be able to get onto a plane and go home. I had people share that they were already checking rental car status just in case the airlines had to shut down by the weekend. So as we were in New Orleans, we were going through a time of significant change headed towards it. And when I got off the airplane here in Charlotte on Saturday, it was like the world had changed. All of a sudden, stores are now running out of supplies. Go to a grocery store. It seems to be keyed into a lot of the metropolitan areas, the Northeast. It depends on where the stature, where it's going, but it is filtering around the country. But what was it like being in that leadership position? Because you were guiding a board to make a decision for the betterment of over 1,000 people plus a staff that works for you. How did that feel to you? Was it something that kept you up at night? Were you going through anxiety? What was it like through that for that period of leadership that you exhibited, Jasper?
So the first half of the week, I just wanted to reassure people the convention was going to happen, right? You saw the videos. They were tongue in cheek. They were supposed to be a little goofy and lighthearted. And I meant every word. We were going to have convention no matter what. You saw the posts. You saw a couple people thinking we should cancel early, but for the majority, sweeps are a different breed. We think that we're impervious to things. Our job is risky. We're a certain breed of people that don't scare easily. And so I really, the first up until Friday, I was 100% convinced convention was going to happen. We had run some quick numbers. We had some talks, and we were going to do it. And then stuff started coming out, some news stories, chatter online started to shift a little bit, and my phone melted. There were 4 days straight of me not being able to put my phone down. The passion and the love of the people in this industry is unbelievable. I got many comments of, what are you going to do? We back you 100%. I don't want to be you right now. You're the right man to make this call. And it brought tears to my eyes at times. Like, it's not me. This industry, the love and the affection is unbelievable. So we started chatting. We started running numbers. We started reading through contracts. We were doing our due diligence. This was not a quick, okay, now we're going to cancel. The behind-the-scenes work was immense. And the fact of, what are we going to lose? What money have we spent? There was a lot more to it than just canceling a hotel reservation. The amount, we've spent a lot of money, Jerry. You've run the ship. You know that the planning that goes into this, the amount of work that our staff does. And even as our staff was told that they were allowed to work from home and convention was canceled, their hearts were broken. They work all year for this week. They look forward to it. They love seeing our members. Even new staff that have never been to a convention were eager and excited to come and meet us and see us. And they were devastated when they got the news yesterday that convention wasn't going to happen. And all that work. I mean, Jerry, can you imagine working all year on a project for your boss to say, yeah, it's canceled, but we have amazing staff in Indianapolis. We're going to get through this. They have been absolutely bombarded with phone calls. And right now, most of them are working from home. So if you need to contact any staff, email is the best way to go. But we're working on a multitude of things at this time. We're going to get through this. We're going to be okay. I really want to thank the past few presidents and treasurers of the Guild, because we've been extremely diligent with your funds, with our membership's money, and this isn't going to kill us. We are going to be okay. It's going to cost us some money. And when I started seeing members saying, I don't want my money back, it's a donation, keep it. Jerry, that was pretty intense. These men and women work their tails off, and this is a big investment for them. And not everybody has big companies. All these are small 1-2 people operations, and for them to say, I don't want my money back, keep it. I want what's best for the Guild. Jerry, that makes your heart thump a little bit,
Yeah, it does. It means people support what you do. They see the value there and they recognize this. But let's take this a little further, because Jasper, that was probably one of the hardest days of leadership that you've had since you've been elected president. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
And what you've got to go through is what every business owner is now facing. Every business owner around the world, in all forms of business, not just ours, has got to face, what are we going to do? How do we negotiate through what I'm calling a crisis? I'm 67 years old, Jasper. I have never in my life encountered this type of a crisis that continues to grow, that's like we don't have any control over it. The closest thing I can imagine in my lifetime was in the early 60s when the Cuban Missile Crisis was going on. and people were building bomb shelters around the country. And there were people, that's what they did. They were contractors to build bomb shelters, because that was when I was a child. And I remember the fear that my parents had at that time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. But this is different. This is something that is attacking from all aspects. And now we have to be concerned for several things. We got to be concerned, and I'm going to put my order of importance in here of what everybody's got to be concerned about. Number one, in my opinion, you have to be concerned about your own family. Number one is your family. Number two, you got to be concerned about your business and how are you going to come out of this at the end of it. Number three, you've got to be concerned about your workforce. How are they going to go through this? Because you may have to make some hard decisions. And number four, you've got to be concerned about your customers. Some people think this isn't as serious as it is, and they think in some ways it may be a joke. And I want to assure you, this is no joke. This is a reality. It's never been faced in our country before. What's your thoughts of the important things that people have to look at right now, Jasper?
Well, this affects me on a number of different levels. So when I first started taking this a little bit more seriously myself was when my youngest son's school principal called me. And he said, "Mr. Dringler, we know you travel a lot for work. You are not allowed on school property. You may not pick up your son from school for spring break." And I was like, wow, you're telling me I can't see my son? And I had to take a couple breaths, because she then told me if I see my son, he can't come back to school for 2 weeks. And with the amount of travel I do, every time I'd come back, I wouldn't be able to see him for 2 weeks. Jerry, basically the principal told me I couldn't see my son for 3 months with
So
that statement, right?
this was kind of like the bullet that hit upside your head of reality.
That was when I really started chatting with my fellow board members, our executive director, and taking this a little bit more serious. And, I'd do anything for my kids. We had to cancel our spring break. My cousin's wedding got canceled. This is a big deal. So first and foremost, I am in and out of, I was in New Orleans. I was in and out of social events. I was hanging out with people in the industry. I didn't shake nearly as many hands. And, I like shaking hands. I like hugging people that I'm friends with. That's the type of person I am. And when you're sitting there, you and I were sitting at the table chatting, and I walk around, it was awkward. It was awkward to have to stop myself from putting my hand out and not, there's this little mental game. Are they going to be offended? What do I do? And, and some vendors were smart. They put out signs, please don't take offense. We're just not shaking hands. And at the beginning of the week, I was like, oh, that's cute. But by the end of the week, it was serious. It was like, okay, we are not going to shake hands. There's lines for people washing their hands everywhere. And so right now, my children are staying at their mother's house. I want to make sure I don't get them sick. They're off of school. So that's what I'm doing in my own personal household. And it sucks. I miss my babies. I love my babies, And then there's the employees. My employees are my family. So this morning, I took all my team leaders together and I said, here's the deal. I'm not going to make you work. You work as you see fit. If you want to go home, I'm going to make sure that you can pay your bills. I don't care if I have to take a mortgage out on my house to make sure that you guys can pay your bills, because that's what I'm going to do, because I love you guys and you will do anything for me, and I'm going to make sure we're all okay. And that was a time where normally we would all be hugging, but we didn't hug today. As far as on job sites, this particular week, we're on a couple big jobs. So we're not in and out of 50 houses like we would be, in the middle of fall. We're in and out of just a couple. I had a customer last night I went to. She had a plugged chimney. I went there and plugged it, and She's like, I trust you, but I don't want to touch you, and I'm gonna just call in with a credit card for payment. No problem. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make the customer happy and make them feel at ease. We're going through a massive amount of rubber gloves and dust masks and respirator filters, but in our business, we've never used a drop cloth twice in a day. We wash everything all the time. Now we're just putting a little extra bleach in them. So we're taking care of our customers. I'm taking care of my employees. And from the guild aspect, we canceled the convention. I am not going to allow the guild to reimburse me for any of my expenses for the rest of the year. You know, being on the board is very expensive to the board members. Not only time away from our business, but it costs us money in travel. It costs us money to attend events we normally wouldn't, but we're doing it for the guild. So I'm not allowing the guild to reimburse me for any of the travel I've done this year or will be doing the rest of the year. I'm not going to let them reimburse me for my hotel rooms, my meals, my mileage, because I want to do what's best for this organization. You heard me speak over at the CCP event, and I owe this guild, I owe this industry for everything I have. I would be nothing without the friendship, the guidance, and the help I've received over the years, and I need to give back. And that's why I've done some of the public speaking. That's why I've volunteered to be on the board, and that's why I'm honored to be the current president. It's been a roller coaster the last week. It's been a roller coaster the last couple of years. I've learned a lot. But I love this industry. I love the people in it. They are family, and whatever I can do to help, I'm all in.
Well, Jasper, I want to tell you this. You know that I sat as president of the guild for a longer period of time than anyone ever has. And I want to congratulate you on doing what I consider to be an excellent job. Ever since you've been into this job, you have presented excellent leadership. And in this most recent case, exemplary. So I congratulate you, because I remember when you and I talked last week, and this was early at the HPBA show. It was before either of us realized the depth of this as we do today, because it has gotten very deep. So what I want to do is I want to share with everyone that's listening. If you're a business owner or manager, listen to what Jasper said. What are you doing? Because leadership is what's going to take you through this to come out the other side as a winner. As I've gone through this, I've thought about times back in history before my time, and I wondered what it was like to be sitting in America when Pearl Harbor was bombed, and when, if the Japanese had moved ahead, today we know that we couldn't have stopped them till they got to the Mississippi River. That's a well-known fact. We were basically demolished, but America came back. America has come back many times. But what you're going to have to do as a business owner, as a manager, at this point, you have got to prevent panic from arising in you. You have to be a leader, because you are what's going to stabilize your workforce in this. There may be some bad not bad, but hard decisions that are going to have to be made. You've got to make decisions with the utmost intelligence that you can, and understanding how it's going to affect others. It's not going to be easy. The coming weeks and the coming months are probably going to be something you never signed up for when you decided to be a leader. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. Jasper, what would you tell someone to encourage them in leadership right now?
I guess the best advice I can give is you have to make sure that you're okay. I am blessed in the fact that I run my business with very little debt. My personal life, I don't have much debt, and I'm willing to take on debt to keep good people. I mean, the last couple of years, our number one complaint as business owners has been it's hard to find good people. And I have the best. I have the absolute best crew. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep them. And when things turn around, when everything's back on the up and up, I know they're going to stick around. I know they're going to be here. I know that they're going to go to bat for me when I need them to. But I'm lucky to be able to afford it. I know I've seen some chatter online about I can't afford to pay them and this and that. And we had that discussion this morning. I said, if we have to, we'll use some unemployment. But I'm going to make sure you guys are okay. So I'm blessed that I'm able to do that. I know there's companies that run real tight that just aren't going to be able to season it all the way through as easily and hold on to everybody. But just don't be selfish and, try to help out other people as much as possible, and you'll reap the benefits afterwards.
That's it, and that's what we all go through every day of how do we do this? And, it's like in our case, we are trying to do all we can to people who are not just our clients here at CVC Success Group. We're trying to give guidance to everyone. Just earlier today, John Meredith, he published to all of his heat shield dealers a script for a video. One of the things that I want to encourage every business owner, manager to do is to record a video and let your customers know that you care about them. Let them know the precautions that you are taking, the things that Jasper talked about, how you're going to step up. Yeah, there's a shortage of hand sanitizer out there right now, but there are ways to make your own hand sanitizer. Looking at all the things, yes, respirators, gloves, all these things. Part of this is going to be the issue, which is the supply chain. You got to remember, we rely heavily on products that are made overseas, and some of these other countries, they have shut down their manufacturing. We're going to see shortages. All you have to do is go to many grocery stores right now. As I did earlier today, it's like, Lord, these shelves are getting emptier and emptier. It reminds me of visits I made to East Europe years ago, and we've lived in the land of plenty. So we're going to have to tighten our belts up. But again, as the leader, and you are leaders, you have got to keep the panic down, and you have to keep your people and their morale at the highest level. This is going to be hard times ahead. It truly is. I don't want to be a doom procrastinator, but like I said, this is presenting challenges to every elected leader in the country, every governor. Just think what it would be like if you were a mayor or you were a governor or a president of the United States. And I don't want to get into politics and whether he is right or wrong in what he's doing, but imagine the magnitude of the responsibility. I mean, Jasper, you felt it just in a small part, right, with the guilt.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one thing, Jerry, to take risks with your own money and your own company, but when you have the consideration of all of these wonderful people who work extremely hard to be able to be a part of this guild and afford their dues and attend these conventions, that's a major responsibility. That's something I absolutely don't take lightly. I will take risks in my own business. I'll take risks with my own money and my own finances, but we've been extremely strict with our budgets at the NCSG, and wasting other people's money is something I just can't stomach. We're entrusted with this, and we don't take it lightly. This was a big deal.
Yeah. And I presume that you guys are also already working with how do we assist the membership through this time of crisis? How do we help them? Is that some of the discussions you guys have already entered into?
We started having that discussion yesterday, and that discussion has continued today. Just 45 minutes ago, that was a topic of conversation that I was having with our staff.
Yeah. So when can members start seeing some of this stuff? I mean, we've got notification the convention is canceled and all that. And I will tell you that canceling the hotel reservation was very easy. It took just one phone call that was taken care of. And I know it's taken some time, but you're seeing airlines like American Airlines just a few days ago lightened up on their cancellation policy. And I was like, actually, I was supposed to be doing a speaking gig today as we're recording this that was canceled because of the virus last week. So these things are going on, but we're going to survive. But we're in this together, just like Jasper said. We all got to be in this together. The thing I would encourage you to do is participate in the forums. There's several great discussion groups on Facebook, and we're trying to pass information out and things to help strengthen up because it's going to be tough. So we got to remember, we're going to have friends and they're going to be feeling really down. And it's time that we work to pump each other up and we work to make this industry, because one thing about this industry is it is a tremendous brotherhood. Just like Jasper said, it's like members of your family almost. And it pains you to watch these people go through here. So Jasper, anything else you want to add into this to encourage people in what they're going to go through? Because it's going to be tough, folks. Let's don't make light of it. I want you to understand, if you think this is going to pass in a week, it's not. It's going to go for a while. And we've got to hunker down for this. And I'm going to tell you, it's a war.
Yeah, we're a resilient group. We're good with our hands. We're good at cobbling stuff together and building tools. I mean, the things that Sweeps come up with, the stuff that they've built, the stuff they've invented, this is an amazing mix of people, and I have no doubt that we're going to be okay. We absolutely will. You know, we have a huge contingency of older members, and obviously we want them to stay healthy and make sure that they're away from this virus because they're more susceptible to it than younger generations. But overall, our industry is going to be fine. We're going to get through this. We might all have a bad year. We may or may not make as much money this year as we would like to or should, but we're going to be okay. We absolutely are.
Yeah. So Jasper, I'm going to end this. The other week, we were both in Valley Forge. We were at the CCP convention, and you did a program there, and the name of that was No Excuse. So let me ask you a question. Going through this, do you see any excuses, or is it a no excuse forethought in your mind?
There's no excuses. So we always have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. And we take risks as business owners. It's a risky business. Many of us have had ups and downs. We've been climbing up just to go bankrupt and lose it all and have to start over. There's no excuses. You want to sit around and you want to say that, blame that your business is dying because of this. Yes, we're all going to take a hit. Absolutely. But you're if you put in the effort, if you put in the work, if you watch your numbers, if you hold yourself accountable, you're going to be fine. We might have to lay off a couple employees. You might have to let a couple employees go. You might have to eat some ramen noodles for a while. You might have to pick and choose which bills you pay this month. But there's no excuse in the long run. Don't sweat too much the short term. We're going to get through this. It's going to be temporary. It might be a few months. Might put us into a small recession. Who knows? But prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and we'll get through it together.
That's it. What you're getting ready to go through is going to be some hard lessons in business. It's going to be some hard lessons in life. But I can tell you, and I'm going to speak for Jasper and myself, we've both been through some heartache in our days, haven't we, Jasper?
Absolutely.
And I'll bet
there's nothing like having your home repoed and not being able to pay your bills. I mean, you learn those lessons. And, part of that no excuses seminar that I did was those of us that have gone through the worst just look at stuff a little bit differently. We're a little bit more self-motivated. We're a little bit more conservative with certain things. I mean, my guys make fun of me. I recycle every scrap piece of metal that goes through our shop. I still collect every aluminum can out of the recycling. I pinch pennies nonstop. My guys make fun of the fact that I drive the oldest work van in the fleet. But there are things where I'm compulsively cheap about. But those are little things that are what are going to add up to us being able to weather the storm a little bit better than others. I don't have any vehicle payments I have to pay. I don't have a mortgage I have to pay. You know, I live well below my means, and I'm able to, you know, bank what I can so that I'm ready for the worst. So I can hold my guys through the slow season. So our slow season might be a little bit longer this year. We don't know, but we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, if anyone needs any help, if there's something I can do to make someone's life a little bit easier, whether it's supplying with materials, labor, or something, you know, I've done it for a lot of companies, you know, in the area. I've helped out my brothers and sisters in Sut, because I owe them everything. And I will, if there's anything I can do to help any of our members, all they have to do is shoot me a message.
That's it. So guys and gals, that's some hope for you as you head through what's going to be crisis management. Be a leader. Manage with your heart, but also with your intelligence. You've got to make hard decisions. It's the reality of life that we're in. So appreciate you joining me, from myself and from Jasper. Hey, we hope this is helpful to you. Let either one of us know how we can assist you in this time, because we're all in this together. Talk to you next month. Appreciate you tuning in today.